We're back, people, and today we're going to film on Chris Brooks, Miami Dolphins running back. Another good preseason game in week 2. He looked really good in week 1. He showed out again in week 2, having a nice touchdown, as you'll see right here, getting involved in the screen game. He looked pretty comfortable in the passing game. He's that bigger body guy they have, and obviously he probably is still on the outside when it comes to making this roster. I think it's someone they still would like to keep at least on the practice squad, just with how he's played. And then with the whole Jonathan Taylor news, if he ends up getting traded, then Brooks has a really, not a great shot. But he's moving well out there for a bigger guy. The Dolphins don't really have that currently. And he's just making plays. I'll get to the running game as well. Saw him last week. He understands how to work on these zone concepts. He's pretty versatile, too, to work on some gap scheme. And here, just setting up his blocks, reading out in space, sees the leverage of things, get upfield, bend this back. Once he gets off to the back of this block, he just has an innate feel for the game. Use that stiff arm. You can just see the power to easily bounce off of that. Not affected at all by this DB, which is very impressive. As you can tell, he has pretty good core strength and contact balance to really just bounce off of that like it's nothing. So we finally got to see him, really out in space on this play. Last week was all just runs up the middle, but now you can see him out in space, do some work here, vision, athleticism, instincts, and then physicality to finish the play, and then have the nose for the end zone. And then here we got Brooks on a pitch play to the field side here, falling off, this sort of insert motion, falling off the backs of the blocks of these tight ends out in space. Just nice to see them utilizing him out in space in this game. Just impressed reading this. There's nothing too crazy about the start of this play. He takes a good angle. You can see how he sort of presses up. He sort of squares his shoulders a little more towards the middle of the field, and then he angles to the outside, which allows him to pull away from this linebacker. Just those subtle little micro movements, and he has the speed to get there, and then he's willing to drop his shoulders into these guys. Showing off some nice balance here, little acrobatic skills off that too, with his feet on the initial part. Just finishing these runs. He just moves well. He's got some fluid hips for a guy of his size, better than you expect, better footwork. I've been impressed with his athletic ability throughout the preseason. Just going base, I only watched a little bit of his college film, but it's not something that's really stood out to me. So you can tell he's already developing these things, and I would like for him to at least make the practice squad. Here we get to work some trap action with that pulling guard. Kind of whiffs on it, but you can see how he just shoots upfield instantly on this type of concept. Once you get that ball, you're ready to just shoot up that field, and he does a good job setting up this run. And you can see the burst too. He's square, patient. He's waiting for this to happen. And once this old lineman sort of passes him, he gets the ball. He just shoots upfield. Nice burst. He gets tight off this block too. He doesn't want to get too wide for this unblocked guy. He wants this guard to really pull into him, kick him out. Kind of whiffs this, but he takes a good angle initially. And then once he gets past, he widens out, bursts through, dips his shoulder into the hole to carry the linebacker for extra yards, fighting for those hidden yardages, like this kind of thing from, these bigger backs. If you're a bigger back and he has a little bit of a finesse play style too. He likes to make people miss, but like having two hands on the ball, dropping your shoulder, and in the middle just carrying a linebacker for a few extra yards. Those things really add up and help with a lot of things, whether it means, converting first downs, field position battle, pretty much all of those things really end up mattering in the end of the game, and Brooks would bring that to a team. Still, at least would like to see him on the practice squad, potentially on the roster if they don't trade for Jonathan Taylor. Another nice read here from Brooks. The first game was a little more impressive with his reads, like just quickly reading off blocks, pressing, and getting upfield. But here he makes a quick decision to bounce this to the outside just based on the leverage. This guy shoots inside. Everyone has kind of inside leverage here. They capture this edge. He's working off the back of this block. You can already see his angle here. He's ready to capture the edge just based on the mesh point. And they do a good job blocking this. He gets the ball and instantly angles to the outside. Has the speed to at least pick up nice 6 yards. It was nice to see a different side of his game this week compared to last week. More plays out in space, more outside zone, pitches, screens, those types of things. Last week, you got to see him really pound it down the middle. He did a little bit of that, but it was still a nice showing, and he never really goes down, it seems like, on those first guy. And if he does get wrapped up, he at least carries them for a few yards. Here, he just happens to be at the boundary, out of bounds, but still making those guys miss. You can see he does a good job picking up those feet, showing off some athleticism. Definitely impressed with what I've seen so far from Brooks throughout these first 2 preseason games. Brooks even got used on like the behind the back shotgun outside zone type of work, getting real wide sweep action from him. Really nice to see this. Probably not where his skill set should be used, but it's nice to see he can still gain some yards. Get to the outside here. He takes good angles, and then once he just sees all the space, get downhill. He shows off some burst. Playing with a little bit too high of a pad level there, but I mean, it's nice to see him at least have the burst to get up, work his angle, get past the defensive lineman initially, also get upfield from like the outside DBs, and then the linebacker is able to hit him, but he's already 8 yards down the field. Picks up a nice gain. Just so many. Basically, I liked his usage this game a lot. Even though a lot of these plays aren't super impressive, he just took what was there, which sometimes these running backs will try to do, especially younger running backs will try to do a little too much, but Brooks seems to have a pretty good football intelligence overall. Last play I'm break down for Brooks, one of my favorite plays he had in the game. It's only a 4-yard game, but it's a 3rd and 2 situation, and I love the quick decisiveness, the reading this, and then just burst downhill, use that momentum, carry it, to then carry the linebacker past the first down line. He kind of meets him right at the line. Some split zone action here, and he instantly recognizes the flow of this defense. Look at all of these defenders, how they're flowing based on the offensive line. He sees the back of this offensive lineman opening up with the split zone action. He's ready to hit this, burst, press upfield, make this guy commit here, and then he sticks his foot in the ground, gets down, squares this linebacker up in space to knock him over. You can see the power at the point of attack. Put him on his ass, basically, and then drop for an extra 2 yards, picking up 4 yards on a 3rd and 2 situation. You really want to, for a bigger back, you got to be able to do these types of things. Carry for the extra yards, especially if you're going to be a short yarded situation type of back, which that would be sort of his calling card if he does end up getting playing time. So nice to see him at least doing that early on in the preseason. Really liked this whole game, the different things he showed with his skill set, being a lot more versatile than I would have expected from his BYU film. And this is just a really nice, decisive read, too. Just reading the flow, reading the leverage of this play. You can see him already anticipating that he's going to hit this cutback lane, get downhill. Doesn't just immediately hit the cutback and try to like bounce it into the 42 and 43 right here. He still tries to stay tight to this block, angle this away, and then drop the right shoulder into him. Just impressed overall with what I've seen from Brooks. You know, I'm a fan of these a lot of the undrafted guys, but mainly Brooks, Peely are probably the 2 biggest standouts so far to me. Just off the top of my head, there's some other guys who have done pretty well too, but I think Peely has the best chance to make the team. I think Brooks will probably make a team. He'll at least make the practice squad, but if he keeps playing like this, he might end up getting poached. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.